I'm Mike Quackenbush. This is Till We Make It, and today I want to share with you a concept that I am called on to explain time and time again. And I did so very recently in one of my live interactive character workshops that I did. So I've cut that piece out for you, and I want to share it with you now. But I want you to know this is not my original concept. When I've worked with people over the years who really know their drama, comedy, and performance, I have heard different versions of this theory put forth, and they all roughly say the same thing. I don't know that anyone put it more elegantly than the author Jack Flam in his book about the friendship and rivalry between Matisse and Picasso, but it roughly says this: for everything the mask conceals, it also reveals. It speaks to the power of anonymity, and when we put on our in-ring persona, a gimmick, so to speak, that is a kind of mask. We hide ourselves behind that mask, even in those instances where our character wears our own face as its mask. That's a distinction I find sometimes students really struggle to understand. But any gimmick or in-ring persona that you put on is a type of mask for the purpose of this explanation. I often refer to it as the suit of armor, but in truth, it refers back to this age-old adage about everything the mask conceals, it also reveals. And that is next. As it relates to characters, I feel very strongly that your in-ring character should not be you. Yes, your character might wear your face as its mask, but the character should not be you. And I know there are people out there that wrestle using their real names. I personally am opposed to that as an idea, and I'll explain my rationale why. I think when you are developing as a performer, you are exceptionally vulnerable to criticisms that come from social media, self-styled critics, people that choose to review your performances. And there are people out there that are constantly going to evaluate and judge your performance, despite the fact that they have no qualifications to do that whatsoever. On the one hand, the great boon of social media is that people who were previously without a voice now have a voice. The downside to that is everybody has a voice. This means that people who are in no way, shape, or form qualified enough or informed enough to evaluate the quality of your work as a wrestler, as a performer, as a character, or any of those things will chime in at any moment with their 2 cents. When you're just developing as a performer, I think those things can prove to be somewhat injurious to your performance ego. And just so we're all on the same page, we all need to have a healthy ego as performers. We're all going to put on a crazy costume, smear some body glitter on ourselves, and go out here and fake fight with our friends in front of a room full of strangers. And if you don't have a healthy ego, you will never be able to do that. You've got to have a healthy ego. Can people develop unhealthy egos in wrestling? You bet they can. But I'm not talking about that right now. What I am talking about is the healthy ego that you need to have as a performer to do this job. And it takes time to cultivate that. Will you naturally have that? No, unlikely. It takes time to cultivate that. But when you are a new performer or you're new to a character, you might be exceptionally vulnerable to those types of criticisms, comments. Sometimes even elevating them to the level of criticism is unfair, right? People are just trolling you for a reaction. What I have noticed from watching generations of my own kids here at the Wrestle Factory is that when they are new on their journey, if something like that happens and it shatters the healthy ego that they have been cultivating, it stunts their growth as a performer. And I don't want you to have to weather that. I would rather you avoid it. You need not go through that. And if you've not developed thick enough skin that you can simply endure those slings and arrows that are coming for you, then I think your best course of action is to choose a character that is not you, so that this character functions like a suit of armor. It is something that you put on, you wear it for a while, And then you can take it off. You go back to being a regular person. But while the armor is on, while you are wearing the character, you inhabit that. But you have the freedom to take it off. The suit of armor can endure those slings and arrows, those comments, those criticisms, those other things that can injure a developing performer's ego. But you can take that dented suit of armor off and know that isn't you. That's why I think you should not wrestle under your real name. And even though most characters do wear your face as their mask, the character you inhabit in the ring should not really be you. You should not choose to just be you in the ring. I think that is a mistake. To give that level of vulnerability to your true self in front of an audience like that is exceptionally risky, and I don't think it's one worth taking, quite honestly. There are some art forms in which being nothing other than your truest self is often rewarding, and I don't happen to think this is one of them. I think you need to have that layer of protection, that suit of armor that the character provides to you. So designing a character that is not like you allows for exactly that. And yes, you can grow to inhabit characters that are nothing like you. In fact, when I have done that throughout the course of my career, I have found it allows me to have the most fun performing. When I get to inhabit a character that is really not like me at all.